Hello, I'm Derek McGinty, and on behalf of AARP, I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to have a conversation about how you can make the most of the open enrollment period for Medicare. Before we get started, if you'd like to listen to this program in Spanish, press *0 on your telephone keypad right now.
Si usted desea escuchar en español, presione *0 en su teléfono ahora.
Today, we're going to discuss how you can make the most of open enrollment for Medicare. If you're already enrolled in Medicare, therefore, this conversation is for you. Now, we're going to challenge you to take control and reassess your Medicare choices by considering your lifestyle, your health, and your financial needs. We'll also discuss the common considerations that Medicare beneficiaries ought to think about. Now, we are connecting with thousands of AARP members from all across the nation, and we'll be joined shortly by thought leaders who will take your questions live. AARP, a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization with a membership, has been working to promote the health and well-being of older Americans for more than 60 years. And we're in your corner, fighting on issues that matter to you and your family. Now, if you've participated in one of our tele-town halls before, you know that this is similar to a radio talk show where you'll have the opportunity to ask questions and get answers from our guests. For those of you joining us on the phone, if you'd like to ask a Medicare-related question, press *3 on your telephone to be connected with an AARP staff member who will then note your name and your question and place you in the queue to ask that question live. If you're joining us via Facebook, you can post your question in the comments. Well, hello. If you are just joining us, my name's Derek McGinty, and on behalf of AARP, I want to welcome you to this important Medicare discussion, Medicare that fits your life, a guide to open enrollment. Thank you for joining us today and participating in this tele-town hall. To ask your question, please press *3. And if you're joining us on Facebook, you can post your questions in the comments. Listeners, we're going to be sharing a lot of resources, phone numbers, websites, other things with you today, so you may want to grab a pen and paper and keep them handy. Let's get started. Today we are joined by two guests, Andrew Scholnick, Government Affairs Director for AARP, and Xavier Vaughn, Advisor for Medicare Programs at AARP. Andrew, Xavier, so glad to have you both with me.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, happy to be here.
Now, if you are already in Medicare, you might remember that initial enrollment process, but maybe since then, your needs have changed, or maybe you're not so happy with your choice. You might feel stuck, but you are not, because in addition to that initial enrollment period, Medicare also has an annual open enrollment period that gives you a chance to reevaluate your previous Medicare decisions and make sure you have the coverage that works best for you. Yeah, you heard right. Open enrollment is a bit of a Medicare do-over, only this time you've got some first-hand experience to go with it. So, if you're not quite satisfied with your current Medicare coverage, or you're just curious about what else might be out there, you've come to the right place. We'll be going over lots of information to help you understand open enrollment. With open enrollment starting in just 3 weeks on October 15th, now would be the perfect time to get started preparing. Now, Xavier, let me get things going with you. What are the basics of open enrollment? What do folks need to know?
It is important to note that open enrollment is the same exact time every single year, which is October 15th through December 7th. It doesn't matter which day of the week it falls on, it will always be October 15th through December 7th. And why is it important? Well, you can save money or get better coverage, because we know plans can change from year to year, and that new plans can be added every year. And it is important to take note of your lifestyle, your health, and financial needs, because we know that can also change over time. And so your plan that's good for you currently this year may not be the best plan for you in the upcoming year. Also, as we know, not only that, your providers can change, the medicine that you take can change. So all that is really important to note and make sure that it's still covered for the upcoming year. And it's really your chance to make the change that you need to make and be in the driver's seat when making a choice. And all your changes that you make during open enrollment will begin January 1st. And we'll talk about this more later in the programming, but Medicare Advantage also has another open enrollment period, which is January 1st through March 31st.
Okay, wait a second. I did not realize that Medicare Advantage has its own open enrollment period separate from the original Medicare open enrollment. You know, some of our viewers, including me, enrolled in Medicare a bit of time ago, and we may not remember all those details. So can we back it up? And can you remind us about the differences between original Medicare and Medicare Advantage?
Yes, original Medicare, or you may hear it referred to as traditional Medicare, is your Part A and your Part B. A is going to be your hospital, B is going to be your medical. And how I like to remember that, if you put hospital and medical in alphabetical order, it will coincide to their parts. So A for hospital, B for medical. It's also possible that you can add a Part D, D is for drug, and Medigap plan to your original Medicare or to your original Medicare. But be careful about Medigap plans when you make your choices. For example, you may have to go through underwriting if you do not enroll when you're first eligible for Medicare, and if you are in a Medicare Advantage plan, it may be hard to switch back to original Medicare and pick up a Medigap plan. With a Medicare Advantage plan, or also known as Part C, is your private insurance company, and it is federally regulated. How I like to think about Part C is in this day and age, we love to bundle everything together, right? We love to bundle our phone, internet, everything to one comprehensive plan, and that's what your Medicare Advantage plan does. It bundles your Part A, Part B, and most of the time your Part D into one comprehensive plan. And these are going to be your HMOs and PPOs, so they're going to feel very familiar to your employer-sponsored health care. Original Medicare, the same benefit and cost sharing nationwide, whereas Medicare Advantage plan have different costs and added benefits that can vary by each plan. It will vary from county and state. And so you have to deal with in and out network with the Medicare Advantage plans. There are pros and cons to each, but for example, the network and the additional benefits can maybe pros and cons for if you want a Medicare Advantage plan versus original Medicare.
Okay, sounds like there are a lot of options when it comes to Medicare. So during open enrollment, can you switch between those options? Andrew, why don't you get in here?
Sure. Well, the short answer is pretty much yes. You can switch between just about anything. You can switch between original Medicare and Medicare Advantage, or from Medicare Advantage to original Medicare. You can also switch between Medicare Advantage plans and choose a different plan, just as you can switch between different Part D prescription drug plans. But there are a lot of choices, so you're definitely going to want to do your research. And part of it is because there are some limitations to be aware of. For instance, you cannot add a Part D prescription drug plan or a Medigap plan to a Medicare Advantage plan. Those are only for if you have original Medicare. Also, if you leave a Medicare Advantage plan to go to original Medicare, you may have difficulty getting a Medigap plan. And if you have retiree insurance, that can add a layer of complexity. I think the most important thing to remember is that if you're happy with your current coverage, you don't have to do anything. It will likely continue into the next year. However, every private plan, whether it's Medicare Advantage or a Part D prescription drug plan, is able to make changes year to year. That can be changes to the premiums you pay, the deductible amount, the copays, or even the type of coverage that it offers, which drugs it covers, or the doctors that are part of its network. And the plan is required to notify you of those changes. So you should have gotten or will be receiving an annual notice of change letter. And that's a letter in the mail from your plan saying exactly what changes have been made for the coming year. And this is an ideal time to pause and take stock of your coverage. Does your coverage still work for you? Did they make changes to it? Or perhaps maybe you're taking new medications, or there's a different doctor you want to see that isn't in your network anymore. Now is the time to look at what you have and explore the options that are out there. If you like what you have, you don't have to do anything.
Thank you, Andrew. One of the key takeaways there is that any changes in the Medicare Advantage plan or Part D plan will not sneak up on us. And we'll be sure to be on the lookout for those annual notice of change letters. So, Andrew, speaking of changes, I understand there were some items worth highlighting for 2025 that impacted Medicare beneficiaries. So can you tell us about some of those?
Sure. We're actually pretty excited about a lot of these changes that occurred in 2025 because AARP fought pretty hard for them, particularly in the prescription drug space. One is that insulin prices were capped at $35 a month. So people with diabetes that were dependent on insulin, their out-of-pocket costs are now limited to $35 a month. Also this year, a cap was placed on prescription drug plans, limiting how much a person paid out of pocket for their drugs. That amount was $2,000 for this year, meaning that once you hit that amount out of pocket, the plan covered the rest. Next year in 2026, That amount's going to increase slightly to $2,100, but it's still exciting that there is an out-of-pocket cap in place for Part D plans. Also, in addition to that, there's now the Medicare Prescription Payment Plan, which started this year in 2025. And this is a system where if you have a high-cost drug that you have to get regularly or at the beginning of the calendar year, instead of paying the full amount out of pocket right away, you can spread that cost over a series of months with no interest. So it kind of buffers you from any sticker shock at the pharmacy. It helps you smooth those costs over on a more predictable level. Another exciting change that is going into effect in 2026 that we're looking forward to is that the first batch of drugs that are eligible for price negotiation are going into effect. And this is part of the Inflation Reduction Act from a few years ago, where now Medicare has the authority to negotiate prices on certain drugs. And the first group of that will take effect in January.
And if you're managing your prescriptions and dealing with the costs, this is certainly good news, something to take into account when you're looking at changes during open enrollment. So thank you so much for all of that, Andrew. Xavier, if you're already enrolled in Original Medicare, what should you be considering, especially if you're not fully satisfied with the coverage you have?
Yes, let's look at the financials of it. Maybe your co-pays or out-of-pocket costs are too high, so you may want to change to a Medicare Advantage plan. Maybe you want some hearing, dental, and vision, which a lot of Medicare Advantage plans may cover routine services. So you may want to look into one of those plans. Or maybe your prescription drugs have changed, so you need to change your Part D plan. Make sure that all your medication that you're currently taking is on formulary or covered by the insurance plan that you're on. Also, if you're an employer-sponsored retiree, insurance might have changed, so be aware of the rules with your former employer.
All right, thanks for explaining that, Xavier. Andrew, anything you want to add?
Sure. Just that, Original is still a great choice no matter what. Original is, we consider it consistent and stable. I mean, you can see any doctor that accepts Medicare, and most doctors do accept Original Medicare. But Medicare plans can be different. They have provider networks. If you do choose to switch, in most cases, you can't get a Medigap plan again, so be careful when giving up your Original Medicare with a Medigap plan. And in most states, if you cancel a Medigap plan, you can be rejected or charged more because of pre-existing medical conditions if you were to ever buy one again. Again, Original Medicare is a great choice and stable. One of the key differences that I always remind people of between Original and Medicare Advantage is that because of those provider networks, if you travel a lot or perhaps spend part of the year in one location and part of the year in another, you might not be able to get care where you are. You'll be considered out of network, which could dramatically increase your costs. So it's something to be mindful of when you're making a decision between Original Medicare and Medicare Advantage.
And that's actually a lot to be mindful of, Andrew, and I know we've got a lot more content to cover. But first, listeners, let's get some of your questions about Medicare. To ask a question, just press *3 on your telephone. Now I'd like to bring in Kathleen Hinchliff to help facilitate your calls. Kathleen, always great to see you.
Hi, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Let's take our first question.
Yes, we have Michael from Slidell with a question for Xavier.
Michael from Slidell, you're on the air. Go ahead.
I'm on.
Michael, you there?
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Michael, can you hear us?
Hello.
All right, let's go to our next caller. We're having a little trouble there. Let's go to Kenneth from South Dakota.
Kenneth from South Dakota, your question, please.
Yes. My concern is what is AARP's premiums going to be the same or with what my wife has? See, my wife's on Medicare and I'm on Medicare, and I'm a veteran. She is not. And already Medicare is billing her plenty. And if President Trump decides or is going to raise premiums, how is a person going to be able to afford the increase in Medicare? And
All right, thank you very much for that question. Andrew, do you have any thoughts?
Sure. Yeah, so cost of coverage is always a concern that we have, and we want to make sure everybody is able to afford it. I think, with Medicare, traditional or original Medicare, as well as Medicare Advantage, premiums do increase on kind of a yearly basis. They haven't announced the official premiums yet for original Medicare, but they're probably going to be around $206 a month, I think, is the early estimate. And we know that this is difficult for many people. There are programs available to help pay those costs, though, and they're called the Medicare Savings Programs. And we'll mention this again later, but Medicare Savings Programs are administered by every state in the country, so you definitely want to contact your state Medicaid office or your state health insurance assistance program, and we'll provide some of that information. But the Medicare Savings Programs offer help, depending on your income level, with premiums, with out-of-pocket costs, with co-pays. So there is resources available in addition to possibly being eligible for Medicaid and other programs. So even though the premiums might be one amount, there is help available for those who need it.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. Kathleen, who's our next caller?
We actually have a question from Facebook from Gina. It looks like it's for Andrew. She says, are there different considerations for people who are just starting Medicare versus those who have been on it for a while?
Andrew?
Sure. Well, I think the considerations are largely the same. You want to do your research before you enroll, whether it's your initial enrollment period when you're turning 65 or electing to choose Medicare. You definitely want to look at the different Medicare Advantage plan options. You definitely want to look at your choice of original Medicare along with Medigap and a Part D prescription drug plan and figure out what works best for you. So the considerations are essentially the same. What's different a little bit, though, is the timeline and the calendar in which you can do all of this. If you're new to Medicare, whether you're turning 65, you have your initial enrollment period around your birthday, or if you are older than 65 and you've been working for a while and continue to have coverage through your employer, you will get what's called a special enrollment period, and that's an 8-month period after you leave your employer coverage. So you have a different window of opportunity to do it. If you are currently on Medicare, open enrollment is pretty much your best time to do it. It's this period, again, from October 15th, starting yesterday, through December 7th to make those changes. So it's a shorter window, but it happens every year. And there are a couple opportunities to kind of go back if you have buyer's remorse or make a mistake. But you definitely want to look at your timeline depending on where you are, whether you already have Medicare or whether you're new to Medicare.
All right. Thank you, Andrew, for answering that, and Xavier for also answering our caller questions. We, of course, are going to go get back to more of those in just a minute or two. But, Andrew, you mentioned Medigap plans before we went to our callers, and it sounds like the rules are a little bit different when it comes to those.
Yes. For better or worse, the rules are a bit different, and they're a bit tricky. So I'm going to try to explain as best I can. And first of all, the thing to remember about Medigap is that it is supplemental insurance for original Medicare. So if you have original Medicare, again, that's Part A and Part B, this is extra coverage that you can buy from a private insurance company to help pay for some of those out-of-pocket costs, like the co-insurance and co-pays and stuff. And typically you have a one-time enrollment period when you first sign up for Medicare. You have, after you sign up for original Medicare, you have the opportunity to then add a Medigap plan. Now, if you wait or if you go to Medicare Advantage and then return to original Medicare, the insurance companies have an opportunity to start asking you questions about your health or to charge you more or to even potentially deny a plan coverage. So the best bet if you have original Medicare is to sign up for Medigap right away in your initial enrollment period. Another thing to be mindful of, and this is where it gets even more confusing, is that Medigap plans also have letter names. So just like there's Medicare Part A and Part B, there's Medigap Plan A, Plan B, as well as Plan C, Plan D, F, G, K, L, M, and Plan N. There are 10 options with letter names. So make sure you don't get confused when making these choices between Medicare Part A and Medigap Plan A. They are different, even though they sound quite similar. Also, if you're considering buying a Medigap plan, it's important to fully research your options. And although states and the federal government regulate these plans, Medigap plans still don't cover all of your out-of-pocket healthcare costs. They only pay for what Medicare pays for. So for example, Medigap plans generally don't cover long-term care, like in a nursing home, and they don't cover vision and dental care. Also, each of the 10 standard Medigap plans have different benefits and different ways of limiting your out-of-pocket costs. For example, all Medigap plans cover Part A coinsurance, but only some Medigap plans cover skilled nursing facility care or healthcare emergencies when you're traveling in other countries. Here's another example. For instance, Medigap Plan B will cover all of your Part A deductible, but Plan K covers only half of that cost. Now, once you determine the Medigap plans that meet your needs, you'll need to research the insurance companies that offer the plan in your area. Now, by law, a F or G plan sold by one insurance company must cover the same things that an F or G plan from another company covers. But those insurers can and do charge different premium amounts for the same plan. In fact, the cost of Medigap premiums can vary a lot. So once you decide which type of plan you want, you'll then want to compare different insurance companies that sell those plans. But perhaps, again, the most important thing to know about Medigap is that timing is everything. Again, the best time to buy a Medigap plan is when you first enroll in Medicare. If you purchase a Medigap plan within the first 6 months that you enroll in a Medicare Part B, insurers must give you the best rates for your age. And they also can't deny you a plan because of pre-existing conditions. After that time period, anything goes, and they're able to underwrite you or even deny coverage. For example, if you don't buy a Medigap policy when you first enroll in Medicare, but decide a year later that you want one, insurers may be able to turn you down based on your health status or set higher prices for you. Now, different states have different rules, and some states do require a guaranteed issue, but by and large, across the country, you want to be mindful of when you're buying the Medigap plan. And again, changing can be hard. If you have Medicare Advantage and decide to go to Original in the future, you might have difficulty getting back onto a Medigap plan. Once you give it up, it's hard to get it back without that underwriting or the higher prices. So it's something that you have to be thinking about for the future as well as your current needs. I know this is confusing and a lot, and if it's a situation that you're dealing with, we definitely recommend reaching out to your state health insurance assistance program. We call them SHIPs for short. You can find information about your local SHIP at shiphelp.org to find the one in your office. And again, every state has a state health insurance assistance program, and they can offer you one-on-one advice and guidance about how to navigate these decisions. So again, that website is shiphelp.org.
Shiphelp.org. Thank you for that, Andrew. As you said, it's a lot. And we're going to add to it. We're going to get to Medicare Part D plans. Xavier, can you tell us what sorts of things people ought to consider about Part D plans during open enrollment?
Well, as Andrew mentioned earlier, since January, the Medicare Prescription Payment Plan has been providing the option to spread the cost of prescription drugs over the calendar year, making costs more even throughout the year. And for this current year, that cap is $2,000. The cap for next year will be $2,100 with inflation adjustments. And what to look for in Part D plans is going to be your coinsurance, co-payments, and making sure all your medications are covered by the said plan. And the way that you can go about checking, you can create an account at medicare.gov to see what medication you're taking and their costs. And what you do, you create an account. From there, if you're already on Medicare, then your medications will be pre-populated within the system. I urge you to still make sure that the dosage is correct and that the frequency that you receive your medication is correct. And then from there, you can select what pharmacy you would like to pick it up. Then you can select a Part D, and then you can sort it from your total lowest cost. We'll consider the cost of your medication and the cost of that plan by month. And then you can make sure that all your medications are on formulary. It is really important to note that if you do not sign up for Part D when you're first eligible, and when you first enroll into Medicare, you may have to face a late penalty and delay coverage if you do not sign up. And this penalty is for a lifetime. And the longer you wait, the larger your Part D premium or penalty will be. And it is 1% of the national base premium cost. And for this year, it is a little over $36. So for every month you go uncovered, you would have to pay 1% of that. I know there was one time I was assisting someone, I think this was back in 2018, and from 2006, when Part D went into effect, to 2018, they did not sign up for a Part D plan. So you take that premium of $36 or whatever it was in 2018, multiply it by 144%, that they would have to pay on top of their Part D premium. So you can see where it can be a costly mistake to not enroll. But if you qualify for extra help or another program, Medicare Savings Program that Andrew mentioned earlier, this will eliminate your penalty for Part D. And it is possible to switch to Medicare Advantage plan for your drug coverage.
All right, got it. Thanks for giving us the scoop on Part D plans. And Xavier, earlier you did mention that Medicare Advantage plans had a different open enrollment period as well. So if someone is unhappy with their Medicare Advantage plan, can they switch to a different one or even switch back to original Medicare?
Yeah, so in September, people should receive an annual notice of change, and this should inform them of any changes for the upcoming year about their Medicare Advantage plan. And with that, the Medicare Advantage open enrollment period is January 1st through March 31st. And a person can switch to a new Medicare Advantage plan or go back to our original Medicare and pick up a Part D drug plan. If you drop your plan in January, coverage in original Medicare will begin February 1st. If you drop it in the first 2 weeks of February, the coverage will begin March 1st.
So Andrew, anything you want to add about open enrollment and Medicare Advantage?
Yeah, well, again, there's a few reasons you might want to consider making a change to your Medicare Advantage plan. You know, as we mentioned, plans can change. Even if you are familiar with the coverage, they might have made a tweak here and there, whether it's a service offered or maybe even a doctor in your neighborhood is no longer accepting that plan and you want to stay with the doctor rather than the Medicare Advantage plan. So that's one reason you want to at least review your options, even if you don't make the change. But there is good news that you get a return period to change back if you don't like the change that you made, quite frankly. Also, if this is your first time getting a Medicare Advantage plan, whether you're new to Medicare or you've always had original and now you decide to get Medicare Advantage for the first time, you actually get a trial period. And that means you can drop out of the plan and return to original Medicare with the right to buy a Medigap plan at any time during the first 12 months that you have Medicare Advantage. But again, that's only if you are new to Medicare Advantage because you joined right away when you joined Medicare, or this is the first Medicare Advantage plan you've ever had.
Thank you, Andrew. Now we want to take a pause and take a moment to talk about what is happening in Washington and how AARP is fighting to protect your Medicare. Joining us, longtime AARP volunteer Ken Thomas from Florida. Ken has served in many volunteer roles, including driver safety instructor, Speakers Bureau, and AARP Florida State President. Ken, so good to chat with you.
Thanks, Derek. Glad to be here.
Today we're talking Medicare. So what is AARP doing to protect older Americans?
That's okay. Well, AARP is working hard to keep Medicare strong for today's retirees as well as future generations. We're pushing for safer, more affordable care and cracking down on waste and fraud to make sure your benefits stay reliable.
Now, I've been hearing some concerns about Medicare Advantage plans and telehealth. What's going on there?
That's a good question, Derek. Some private Medicare Advantage plans have been inflating diagnoses to get a bigger government payment. This is called upcoding, and it's costing taxpayers billions with a B. AARP is backing a bipartisan bill called the No Upcode Act. It's It's designed to stop and protect your premiums. At the same time, we're fighting to restore telehealth benefits. You might recall that during the pandemic, Medicare made it easier to see your doctor virtually, but many of those benefits expired on September 30th. We want Congress to bring them back permanently so older adults can keep getting care from the ease and comfort of home.
Important stuff there. But what about prescription drugs? Many listeners are struggling with the cost of them.
Absolutely. But there's good news. For the first time now, Medicare can negotiate prices for some drugs, and AARP did help make that happen. Lower prices for 10 major medications are coming in 2026. But big pharmaceutical companies are trying to delay those savings, and we're fighting back. No one should have to choose between groceries and medicine.
So if someone out there is listening and gets excited and wants to get involved, what do they do?
Well, first and foremost, it's important to speak up. Call or email your lawmakers and let them know Medicare and prescription costs really matter to you. You can also do what I do and volunteer with AARP in your community. It's really such a rewarding way to give back as well as stay connected. If you want to stay informed, you can also go to aarp.org/get-involved. And that's one word, get involved, and sign up for our free advocacy newsletter.
That address again, aarp.org/get-involved. Ken, thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you, Derek. It's truly an honor to stand up for our seniors.
And seniors appreciate you as well. Kathleen, let's take a call.
Sure. We have a question for Andrew. We have Deborah from Idaho.
Deborah from Idaho, your question, please.
Yes. If you were disabled early in your 50s and at that time took a Medicare Advantage plan, but you're going to turn 65 this year, can you switch to Medigap without being denied for pre-existing?
Good question. Andrew?
Yes, fortunately, if you sign up during your initial enrollment period or that period immediately after, it would be considered your first sign up, and you do get guaranteed issued during that period, regardless of your health status. I know that offering Medigap to people under 65 does not have those same protections, but once you hit 65, you get the guaranteed issue.
All right. Kathleen, who's next?
Sure. We have a really good question from Julie from Oregon, but I think she dropped. I think this is for Xavier. She asked, she had Medicare Advantage. She received a letter saying it was being eliminated. Is she now able to switch to a Medicare Original with a Medigap plan?
So Julie can switch to original Medicare, and she can try to pick up a Medigap plan, but would have to go through underwriting in order to get accepted. And so if they accept her, they could, she may have to pay a higher premium.
So it doesn't get her a break because her plan was discontinued.
Correct.
All right. One more question.
Yep. We've got Sarah from California.
Sarah from California, your question, please.
Hi, thank you for being there. I'm turning 65 in early January, and I don't know if I need to sign up for A and B right now before I know what I'm doing or staying with my HMO or figuring out Original versus Advantage. I was hearing there's a 2-month gap before you get your Medicare ID, and then it would be in mid-December. And that may be a very specific question, but what is it about the gap between the time you sign up and when you get in, and what does that do if your coverage ends?
Good question. Xavier, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yes. So when you are new to Medicare, you have a 7-month period from when you can enroll. So you have your birth month, and you have 3 months before and 3 months after your birth month. So 3 months before, birth month, 3 months after. The one caveat to that is if you're born on the 1st, then that does move up that 7-month period to a month earlier. And so during that time, you can kind of figure out what you want to do. You can figure out if you want to enroll into a Medicare Advantage plan or go the original Medicare route, pick up a Part D plan and a Medigap plan if that's what you choose. But also for you, it sounds like you're trying to figure out if you want to stay on your employer-sponsored healthcare insurance as well. And so if you work at an employer with more than 20 employees, you have options. You can delay your enrollment totally. You can enroll in both A and B, or you can do what a lot of people do. You can do a hybrid approach and enroll into Part A. Part A is free for most individuals as long as you have 40 work credits, and it takes about 10 years to get those work credits. I'm 31. I've had my work credits since I was around 27, 28. And so, and that's what a lot of people do if you are still working. So you have options and you have time to make your decisions.
All right. Thank you, Xavier. I think we have time for one more.
Yep. We've got a question for Andrew from Facebook. Karen is asking, how can I find out if my doctor will still be covered under my Medicare Advantage plan next year?
That's a good question because things do change on a year-to-year basis. The two best ways are probably either going to your Medicare Advantage plan's website or calling them directly and asking flat out, or calling your doctor and saying, hey, are you going to keep continuing to accept this coverage? You could go to Medicare.gov. They are developing like a national database of this, but the information isn't 100% accurate right now while it's still being developed. So your safest bet is probably just asking your doctor directly or your doctor's office if they're going to continue accepting that coverage, or to check with the plan directly and see their provider network.
I keep saying it's the last one, but I'm lying. It's one more.
Okay, we've got another question. This is for Xavier from Facebook. William is asking, how do I compare the costs and benefits of different Medicare Advantage or Part D plans in my area?
So the best place you can go is Medicare.gov. Once you're on Medicare.gov, create an account, and from there you can the account will pre-populate your medications if you're already on Medicare, and then from there make sure that the dosage is correct and the frequency you receive your medication. Then from there you can pick your pharmacy, and you can pick either you want to go the Medicare Advantage route or the Part D route. The search is going to be pretty much the same, just going to be different, Medicare Advantage plans or Part D plans. And the important thing is when you go there is to sort it by your lowest total monthly cost. So you want to take in consideration the cost of the plan and the cost of the medications. And once there, as Andrew was talking about, you want to make sure that you're, once you have a plan that you like, make sure if you do the Medicare Advantage plan, make sure your providers are all in network.
A lot of fantastic questions from our callers, and we appreciate them. And I think what we're seeing here is that Medicare rules can get complicated. So the question becomes, where can folks go for clear information on their own time? I know we've all seen those advertisements about Medicare Advantage and Part D plans. They come in the mail, they're on TV. Maybe you got a weird phone call. But all of that is from your insurance company who wants to sell you their plan. So it's not unbiased information. Unfortunately, as well, Medicare scams can also increase during open enrollment. Xavier?
It is true. During Medicare open enrollment period, you might start seeing a lot of marketing materials about private Medicare plans, like Medicare Advantage plans and Part D plans. Companies reach out through TV, radio, and the mail, and they even call or text you directly. It can feel quite overwhelming. But there are laws to protect you from forceful or misleading marketing.
Well, can you share some of those with us, Xavier? What are some of the red flags of fraud to look out for during open enrollment?
So first, the rules. Legally, marketing representatives from those companies cannot call you directly unless you give them permission, and they cannot visit you in person without your invitation. They cannot use the term Medicare endorsed or suggest that their plan is a preferred Medicare plan. They can't suggest that Medicare endorses their particular plan or imply that they are calling on behalf of Medicare. A big red flag is pressure to act. So if someone is pressuring you to join any specific plan, it could be a sign of a scam. At the very least, it's a sign that the person you're speaking with is breaking those marketing rules. A second red flag is if the communication suggests you could lose your Medicare benefits if you don't enroll in their plan. It sounds scary, but it's an empty threat. Be especially wary of fake Medicare representatives claiming cards need replacement. Medicare cards remain paper-based with no plan changes. Another red flag is they ask for your Medicare number, social security number, or any bank information just so they can provide you with the information about what they're selling. If they do, this is another sign of a scam. Be careful. If you provide it, they can use it to enroll you into a plan without your permission, or they could steal your personal information.
So I come across one of these red flags and I got my ears up. How can I protect myself?
So to protect yourself, ask for everything in writing. Before you sign up for a plan, contact the provider of that plan directly to learn about the services it covers. Again, ask them to send the information in writing. If you suspect Medicare fraud, or if you suspect that an insurance broker or salesperson is not following the rules, report that to Medicare at 1-800-MEDICARE or 1-800-633-4227. Or you can also contact the Senior Medicare Patrol, also known as the S&P Resource Center, at 877-808-2468. Once again, that number for the Senior Medicare Patrol is 877-808-2468. Or the AARP Fraud Watch Network at 877-908-3360. The AARP Fraud Watch Network at 877-908-3360. And finally, be sure to take your time to make any decisions during open enrollment. If you need help, be sure to reach out to unbiased sources like your state SHIP, State Health Insurance Assistance Programs, and my colleagues here at the Medicare Rights Center.
Exactly. And of course, we should all be alert and cautious about where we get our information. So what are some of the more legitimate, unbiased places we can go for that information, Xavier?
Yes, there are a few, and we mentioned a lot of them already. But now is the time to get that pen and paper ready again. I hope you have it ready now. Okay, so the first one is shiphelp.org, which is the State Health Insurance Assistance Program, shiphelp.org. And as Andrew mentioned earlier, they are in every U.S. state and D.C., and they provide free and unbiased Medicare counseling. And they're not affiliated with any insurance company, and it's a federal grant that is funded to state agencies and nonprofits. And another one is Medicare.gov. And if you would like to call them instead of going online, you can also call 1-800-MEDICARE. Lastly, we have the Medicare Rights Center. And you can go to MedicareRights.org. Once again, that's Medicare Rights with an S.org.
Thanks, Xavier. After taking a look at all this information, I'm wondering what the process is like if we want to make a change. Is it different from initial enrollment where you sign up through the Social Security Administration? Do we have to send in a letter, maybe call somebody, send a singing telegram? How does it work?
You know, they may like that, but all that is not needed. But once again, you're going to need your pen and paper. So if you need to make a change, you can always contact Medicare at 1-800-MEDICARE or go online to Medicare.gov, and there's some mail-in forms that you can also do. And the really great thing is if you need any help with making those changes to your Medicare, is you can always contact shiphelp.org, and they'll be there willing to help you and guide you throughout the process. And once again, you can go to Medicare.gov or 1-800-MEDICARE. For Medicare Advantage plans or Part D plan, you can also go directly to the plan website or call them.
Fantastic. Great information. Thank you, Xavier. Now, questions about cost are always coming in. And Andrew, considering that your income does affect what you pay in monthly premiums for Medicare, can you speak to how your income, or perhaps changes to that income, can affect what you pay for Medicare?
Sure, Derek. Well, just to recap, there are three components of Medicare. That's Medicare Part A, which covers hospitalization and inpatient care. Part B, which covers outpatient medical care in your doctor's office. And Part D, which is optional prescription drug coverage that you can buy from insurance companies. So first, let's look at Part A, which covers hospitalization. Now, again, as Xavier alluded to, most people don't pay monthly premiums for Part A. If you or your spouse had Medicare or had paid Medicare taxes deducted from your paychecks for at least 40 quarters, which is about 10 years, you're eligible for premium-free Part A coverage. Now, Medicare beneficiaries must pay a monthly premium for Part B and Part D, though. The federal government does subsidize Medicare premiums, but the more you earn, the less subsidy you receive. So if you earn over a certain amount, you'll pay higher premiums for Part B and Part D. Medicare premiums are based on your modified adjusted gross income, or MAGI, which is your total adjusted gross income plus any tax-exempt interest you might have earned over the course of the year. And to calculate your monthly premiums, Medicare looks at the income you made 2 years ago, which is the last full completed tax return they have on file. And so if you were what Social Security considers a high-income beneficiary, you'll pay more for Medicare Part B and Part D. And what that means is for 2026, the upcoming year, they're looking at your 2024 tax returns. So we recognize, your income right now might not be what it was in 2024. If you think Medicare and Social Security calculated wrong, you can basically write them saying, I disagree, here's what my income actually is, and ask for an adjustment. And there is a form to do that through the Social Security Administration. So just as a reminder, they look at what your income was 2 years ago to calculate the premiums coming up.
Very good stuff to know. Xavier, do you have some things to add?
Yes, just keep in mind that if your income changes this year, it could affect your Medicare premium 2 years in the future. So for example, let's say 1 year you sold a property, cashed in a retirement account, and that caused a 1 year spike in your income. 2 years later, you would have to pay a higher Medicare premium, but then in 3 years, your premium would go back down.
And who can I go to if I've got concerns about how my income was calculated?
Yes, you can contact the Social Security Administration to make any adjustments. If you need assistance, once again, reach out to your SHIP, shiphelp.org, to find your local SHIP office where a representative can help you make informed decisions about your benefits.
All right, thanks to both of you for explaining all of that in such detail. Let's move on to Part D, drug coverage and the premiums there. Andrew?
Sure. Well, your Part D premium does change depending on the plan you join. Again, these are plans offered by private insurance companies, and there's no standard premium for a Part D prescription drug plan like there would be for Part B. If your income meets or exceeds the higher income threshold that we were talking about, you do have to pay more for your Part D premium. Now, you might be wondering about Medicare Part C or Medicare Advantage. These are also private insurance companies offering plans which bundle the Part A, Part B, and usually drug coverage into one plan. You do still have to pay the cost of the Part B premium, and that could fluctuate depending on whether you're high income or not. But also some Medicare Advantage plans charge an additional premium that goes to the insurance company that administers that plan. And this additional premium is not based on your income and does not change, but it is intended to offer extra services that maybe Medicare doesn't cover. So Medicare Advantage plan premiums could vary greatly depending on the plan you choose and your income. Again, we know this is complicated stuff, and if you need assistance, you can always reach out to your local SHIP, and you can find your state's SHIP information at shiphelp.org. And there, local volunteers and trained professionals can offer you unbiased help to make informed decisions about your specific needs.
So then, Andrew, while we're talking costs, is there anything you'd like to share with folks who may have some financial concerns around getting Medicare?
Sure. Again, this is a really important topic, and I think we had a caller earlier who asked about this. First thing during open enrollment, take a look at your plan options. There may be a more affordable drug plan or more affordable Medicare Advantage plan available to you that meets your needs. But again, there's always the Medicare Savings Programs, or MSP for short. And again, these are state-administered assistance programs designed to help individuals with limited income and resources. And they can help pay for things that Medicare covers, such as your premiums, your deductibles, your co-payments, and your co-insurance. So if you have difficulty paying those out-of-pocket costs, the Medicare Savings Programs can help you. They also provide automatic enrollment into Extra Help, which is a program for prescription drug costs. And again, each state kind of administers it differently, so you want to check with your state office to see if you're eligible and how to enroll. But they are a great resource that are available, and people often don't realize that they do qualify for them. So if you are concerned, it always is a good idea to just ask, and your SHIP can help you with that. And another important thing to remember is that you don't have to wait for open enrollment to sign up for one of these Medicare savings programs. If your income has gone down and they're changed in the middle of the year, you can sign up right away. You just need to contact the Social Security Administration or your local SHIP office to do the paperwork and check your eligibility. So again, these are great programs available for everyone that needs a little bit of assistance, and you can sign up at any time regardless of whether it's open enrollment or not.
Excellent information, Andrew. Thank you for that. Let's go back to some listener questions. Kathleen, who do we have on the line?
Hi. Yeah, we have, for Xavier, we have Lucretia from Florida.
Lucretia from Florida, your question, please. Lucretia, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Let's have your question.
Okay. I signed up for Medicare when I turned 65. But before that, I worked for the federal government, which meant I had Blue Cross Blue Shield, FPP, dental, and vision. Now, I'm also now a 100% disabled veteran, and I still have Medicare, and I still have Blue Cross Blue Shield. I don't need all that much coverage, do I?
It sounds like you got a lot. Xavier?
So, Andrew, I'm going to pass this to you if that's okay. And if you need assistance, I'll be there to support.
Sure. I'll try it. So if you have VA, well, first of all, it's good that you're on Medicare. It's always good to be enrolled, even if you don't necessarily use it. I think Medicare is probably your primary coverage unless you go to a VA hospital or health system, in which case the VA would take over. Your Blue Cross Blue Shield might act as supplemental insurance and become the secondary payer from your federal employee retiree benefits. You can keep this coverage. It's kind of up to you, though, how much you think you use it and how much care you receive in the VA system. So it might be unnecessary for you personally to have all three types of coverage, because if you're getting your care from the VA, then Blue Cross isn't going to pay for that probably. But you can definitely double check with the VA how it interacts. If you're still paying premiums and it's too expensive for you, I certainly understand you might want to consider dropping the Blue Cross. But again, there's nothing wrong with having all three of them.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. I hope that helped Lucretia. Who's next, Kathleen?
Yep. We have another question for Xavier. This is Kevin from Pennsylvania.
Kevin from Pennsylvania, you're live. Go ahead. Kevin, are you there? I guess Kevin is not there. Can we go to the next caller?
Yes, we can. I might come back to Kevin. Oh, there. Oh, Kevin is live, I believe.
Kevin, are you there?
All right, we're going to go to the next question. Sorry about that. We actually have a Facebook question from Lynn. This is for Andrew. What do you recommend for self-employed individuals?
Well, this really depends on the individual's circumstance. If they are 65 and self-employed, it's possible that they have their own health insurance coverage either through some sort of arrangement or through the Affordable Care Exchanges, the ACA exchanges. You're probably going to want to sign up for Medicare anyway, because it's probably going to be the more affordable option if you're buying on your own, particularly if you have coverage through the exchanges while you were self-employed. Because once you reach 65 and are eligible for Medicare, you are no longer eligible for the ACA subsidies to help offset the costs. So coverage will get more expensive on the private insurance market once you turn 65 and are eligible for Medicare. So your best option is probably enrolling in Medicare. Whether you choose original Medicare or Medicare Advantage, that is entirely up to you. That's, again, an individual choice. It doesn't matter if you're self-employed or not. Rules are a little different regarding your special enrollment period. If you're self-employed, technically you would be able to continue and have a special enrollment period, but your insurance company might not charge you the same amount once you turn 65. So it really depends on your individual circumstances. My guess is in most cases you'll want to sign up for Medicare when you turn 65.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. Do we have time for one more, Kathleen?
Yeah, I think we've got a couple more, actually. I've got a question for Xavier from Kenna on Facebook. She asks, if I choose Medicare Advantage and a few years down the road I don't like it, can I switch to Original Medicare?
Yes, you can switch to Original Medicare, and your time to do that would be during this open enrollment period of October 15th through December 7th. The one caveat would be that if you have been several years on Medicare Advantage plan, switch to Original Medicare, and you want to pick up a Medigap, then it may be difficult to enroll into that Medigap plan due to underwriting, if they will allow you on, or you may have to pay a higher premium. But just to switch to Original Medicare and pick up a Part D plan can 100% happen with ease.
Kathleen?
Yep, we have another one from Facebook. This seems to be for Andrew. Cole is asking, I'm currently receiving Social Security benefits and will turn 65 in January of 2026. Do I have to wait until open enrollment in 2026 to change to Medicare Advantage?
No. When you turn 65 in January, you can sign up for Medicare Advantage right away during your initial enrollment period. The process is to sign up for Part B first, or with Social Security, you got to register, and then you can sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan. But you can do all of this right around your 65th birthday. You don't have to wait for open enrollment to sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan when you're new to Medicare.
Thanks, Andrew.
Okay, I'm going to go back to Kevin's question because that was a good one too. He asked, when you travel, I have AARP Advantage or United Health Advantage. How am I covered out of town internationally?
Yeah, so I'm going to speak to Medicare Advantage plans as a whole. And so, as Andrew mentioned earlier, Medicare Advantage plans are very limited in their network. And so they're very regional, county, even county-based. So if you are, for example, a snowbird, you spend half of your year in Florida and half of your year in D.C., then a Medicare Advantage plan may not be the best plan for you because you may not have a network in one of the two areas that you're in. Medicare as a whole does not cover foreign travel. There are situations where Medicare may pay for you if you're in another country. For example, if you're near the border and the closest hospital, but you're in the States, but the nearest hospital is in another country, then they will cover that. But for the most part, or say if you're traveling to Alaska, because there's no way to get to Alaska without going to Canada, right? Then you can have some coverage there. But as a whole, Medicare does not cover foreign travel.
What about Medigap plans? Do they cover foreign travel at all?
I believe some might. I believe some. And it's really important just making sure which plan that you choose.
All right, thank you. Kathleen, one more?
Yep, we've got one for Xavier again. This is Mina from Facebook. What is the fastest way to get my Medicare number? I applied via SSA, but it doesn't look like it will be processed in time for open enrollment.
So at this point, you've done everything that you can do. You applied, and your application is pending through SSA. And, the great thing is open enrollment isn't for people who are new to Medicare. Open enrollment is for those people who are already on Medicare, and they just need to make their yearly change. And so remember, when you're new to Medicare for your initial enrollment period, you have a 7-month period of when you can do it. 3 months before your birth month, and 3 months after. Or if you are leaving your employer-sponsored health care, then you have an 8th-month special enrollment period. So you have time and probably flexibility to enroll into whatever plan you need to enroll in.
Well, our time is almost gone. I want to thank all of our callers for some great questions, and I particularly want to thank Andrew and Xavier for being able to answer them because they were tough. And again, some perfect things that were discussed and brought about. As we cover so much, let's go over some of the key points we've talked about. Andrew, why don't you start it?
Sure, yeah. The key takeaways you just want everybody to remember is that open enrollment happens every year from October 15th to December 7th. So it just started right now, and you have some time to make those changes. But any changes you make during open enrollment take effect January 1st, 2026. This is for the next plan year. You can make your changes by contacting Medicare directly at medicare.gov or by calling 1-800-MEDICARE, or you can contact your state's SHIP, which is your State Health Insurance Assistance Program, at shiphelp.org, or by contacting the insurance company directly in the case of Medicare Advantage or Part D prescription drug plans. And again, if you like your plan and you're comfortable with it, you don't have to do anything, but it's always good to just research your options to know what's out there.
Xavier, anything to add?
If you think you may qualify for extra help, Medicare savings programs, Medicaid, please check your eligibility. And if you need any assistance in enrolling, contact your state health insurance assistance program or your SHIP. And don't forget about the Medicare prescription payment plan if you have high drug costs. And for this year, which is $2,000, for next year will be $2,100.
Informative discussion, guys. I really appreciate you both. Andrew and Xavier, thank you for sharing such great information and answering some tough questions from our AARP members. And on behalf of AARP, thank you to our listeners for participating in today's call. We hope you learned something new. Have a great rest of your day, and this concludes our call.